Then he went home. That is the phrase that immediately precedes what we heard as the first sentence of the gospel reading this morning. And then we did hear he, Jesus, went home, presumably to Nazareth, and the crowds came together again so that they, Jesus and his newly chosen apostles, could not even eat. This was essentially the experience Jesus and his disciples had just had in Capernaum. A crush of people so that there wasn't even room for Jesus and his companions, and now a repeat in Nazareth so that they could not even have a meal in peace. Jesus had acquired a significant following to the point of being overwhelming. So Jesus came home for a break and a home-cooked meal, if you will, but no such luck. Jesus is described as having gone out of his mind, though scholars say the meaning might be closer to today's phrase, he was out of it, just exhausted and hungry. But the crowds found him again, and even the scribes had traveled some distance to check him out and to test him and to taunt him. People had heard of Jesus and come to hear him and to be healed by him. By this time, his draw was much larger than even John the Baptist. Now, back at home, Jesus' family tried to rescue him from the crowds, but to no avail. I presume that sometime afterwards, he and his friends finally were able to catch a meal, though we don't know when. Among the crowd were the scribes who had traveled from Jerusalem to see him, to test him, and to taunt him. And Jesus did not let the opportunity pass by to straighten them out. He cannot let a lost meal stand in the way of rebuking their accusation that he was aligned with evil spirits, with the ancient witch or chief power of evil, Beelzebul. Instead, he'd let it become a teaching moment. If he, Jesus, was the embodiment of evil, why would he possibly, as they charged, cast out demons? It was not even logical. If he did that, he argued, then he'd be working against himself in the house of evil. Jesus was having none of it. He wasn't here to do that. He was here to build up and to tell that story. Mark, the evangelist writer, encapsulates in the lesson as a place of house and home. Jesus comes home to a safe place, a place to be invigorated by food, and most of all by family. It is from this strong house of goodness that he gains his strength for his ministry. He has grown from this home and continues to see it as a place of strength and support and renewal. I realize that some home life experiences that some of you may have experienced were not of nourishment, that they were not places you wanted to return to for a metaphoric or real good meal. Well, like throughout most of the story that Mark wrote about Jesus's on-road ministry, perhaps there have been other places. Your mountaintops, your places of peace in the desert, your seat in a boat on the sea or a river, you're walking a path where you find your peace, your soul's nourishment that have built you up. For maybe that is what home is all about, one way or another. Home is a place where we learn we need a place we can come to recharge our souls. It cannot always be our family of origin. I hope worship is one of those places of recharge for you. It has been for me. When Bob and I were both working full-time jobs, him as a civilian with the Navy and me at the Census Bureau. We'd pack ourselves and the children off to church every Sunday morning. Well, to be honest, maybe it was more me wanting us to do this than the rest of the gang, but we went even though and even on vacations. Sometimes I was so exhausted from the challenges of the week, I finally just leaked tears during the service. But always having had communion, and with the singing of that last hymn and the final blessing, I was good to go again for the challenges of the next week. Liturgy means the work of the people, and that work on Sunday mornings worked for me. It recharged my soul. And is there any wonder that I became a priest? I truly believe liturgy brings us together, literally and figuratively, and does its holy magic on our souls. It is a soul builder and healer because we come together to go forth to meet the world, again with high hopes of what we might add. I would like to remind you of a verse in our psalm today. When I called, you answered me. You increased my strength within me. That is what liturgy does. It increases our strength to go forth, to carry on, and to carry better. At the end of the pericope of our gospel today, Jesus seems to push away the importance of his mother and his brothers and his sister. Who are my mother and my brothers, he says. Whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother, he adds. It seems cold considering it is that very family that he returns to be recharged, to have a meal, to take a break from his demanding ministry. But Jesus was not denying the strength of his family ties. He was just expanding that family to those who show a willingness to be open to God and to what other can offer to the world. Jesus was not a house divided, not a house against itself. Jesus was all about opening the doors to more family, more ways, and people that would soothe and invigorate each other. That is, Jesus was laying the groundwork of a church through his inclusive teaching and healing. The apostles and disciples have worked at building God's family ever since. And our liturgies on Sunday, and our baptisms, our weddings, our funerals, our life's comings and livings and goings, they expand God's and our family. They draw us together in sad and happy times, in the times that are just life, day by day. And liturgy includes the important factor, those we are worshiping with, even though it be online. Liturgy strengthens us as family. As St. Paul's second letter to the church in Corinth reminds us today, so we do not lose heart. Our nature is being renewed day by day. Church and her liturgies renew us day by day. So to my family out there in online land, I thank you for celebrating this liturgy with me today. As always, you build me, us up, and move us forward. May you add your building bricks to all the future liturgies you join here and elsewhere. Please share and celebrate them with your extended family, your church, wherever you find it, where you find a good meal that nourishes you as you stumble, prance, dance, run, or just plain walk your life's journeys. Amen.